It was just this time of year, June 1993, General Assembly, the annual meeting of our Unitarian Universalist Association, was about to begin in Charlotte, North Carolina. I was particularly excited about this General Assembly, fondly referred to as GA, because I thought we might be electing the first ever woman president of the Unitarian Universalist Association. My candidate, the Reverend Carolyn Owen Toole, lost by a very small margin, the smallest margin ever, fewer than 100 votes. After the election, she and Reverend John Burens, who turned out to be a pretty darn good president, I will admit, asked everyone to take off their campaign buttons, put aside our differences of opinion, and work together for the good of our faith. And so we did. I was pleased to learn that the next year at General Assembly in Fort Worth, Texas, John invited Carolyn to preach the sermon at the service of the Living Tradition. Even though it was many sermons ago, I remember her sermon, and I remember that my son, who was at 11 at the time, also liked it. He was in Young Fun, the program at GA, which was mostly fun and games and field trips, but they brought the kids to some of the GA programs, including that service. Afterwards, I asked him what he thought of the sessions he had attended. His answer was, they were all pretty boring, except for that awesome lady who talked about making her office pretty. I told Carolyn that the next year when I saw her, and she laughed in delight. Her sermon was, of course, not so much about making her office pretty. If my memory served me, her sermon title was the first line of a poem by Emily Dickinson, "Beauty crowds me till I die." Beauty crowds me till I die, beauty mercy have on me, but if I expire today, let it be in sight of thee. Carolyn was on something of a crusade to get us Unitarian Universalists to bring more aesthetic elements into our sanctuaries, our worship services, and our shared spiritual lives. She argued that to worship, even in a UU setting, meant to engage all of the senses. People come not just hungry for words, but for nourishing silence and wonderful music and beautiful visual images and tactile experiences. Beauty is not an add-on once the real work of worship is done, which of course would be the very intellectual academic sermon. Now, you could argue correctly that the spirit of worship can happen in any setting, no matter what it looks like. But our spirits come to all those settings yearning for experiences of awe and wonder and joy. Beauty is an avenue to fulfilling our soul's yearnings. But it is more than that. Beauty crowds me till I die, crowds me, jostles me, shakes me out of my comfort zone, my isolation, my silo. Beauty so intently and consistently demanded Emily Dickinson's attention that she asked for mercy. And yet she wanted to be sure to die in the sight of beauty. One commentator of Dickinson's poetry, Akimu Matsumoto, talked about beauty as both affection and affliction for Dickinson. I suspect that all things that are truly spiritual are both affection and affliction. They touch us, they affirm us, they surprise us, they prod us. As I read through the Soul Matter materials for this month of beauty, I thought about how process theology might apply to our consideration of what it means to be a people of beauty. Process theology, some of you have heard me say before, posits that God, the divine, is not a noun, a thing, a being. God is a verb, a divine intention at work in the universe, something constantly and restlessly seeking to influence the direction of our choices without compromising our human agency, our freedom. Maybe, I thought, that intention is beauty. At least sometimes. Beauty poking and prodding at us, urging us to pay attention, to appreciate, to love, and to protect. In this month's Soul Matter Materials, Scott Taylor said, the Quaker theologian Rufus Jones writes, beauty has no function, no utility, it greases no wheels, it bakes no puddings. It is a gift of sheer grace, a gratuitous largesse. It must imply behind things a spirit that enjoys beauty for its own sake and that floods the world everywhere with it. Our joy in it shows that we are in some sense kindred to the giver and the revealer of it. Here, Scott says, we are reminded that beauty is not just an elegantly painted portrait. It is also the artistic force of the universe that is constantly painting us, pulling out the elegance in each of us and the world around us to create the portrait that is life. And so that brings us to the question of the month: what does it mean to be a people of beauty? Took me a while to get there, but here we are. For those of you not familiar with Soul Matters, we are one of several hundred Unitarian Universalist congregations around the country who participate in a monthly themed ministry program called Soul Matters. Each month there is a theme that informs worship, religious education, and small group conversations. Those of you who have participated in Soul Matters this past year can attest to the power of this program. We'd like to invite many more of you to try out a Soul Matters group starting in September. Why? The Soul Matters participant guide says this about what it would mean to join a group. Simply put, Soul Matters offers the gift of spiritual connection. Around us swirls a shallow, frantic, and materialistic culture that regularly leaves us cut off from our deepest selves, life's gifts, and needs greater than our own. Many of us come to church hungry to mend these sacred connections that get frayed and torn. Soul Matters exists to support this journey of reconnection to life, others, and ourselves. And we do that by listening. Listening. Fundamentally, that's what Soul Matters is, an invitation to listen more deeply and intentionally in three distinct ways. First, we listen to each other. First, we listen to each other. Second, we listen to our lives. And finally, we listen to our deepest selves. Introspection is most often understood as solitary work, but small group practice teaches us that going inward is largely a gift given to us by others. Ironically, we hear that still, small voice inside best when the voices of friends speak and offer their presence in a disciplined way. Together, these three sacred practices of listening to each other, to the world, and to our deepest selves add up to a more intentional and authentic life. It's a journey back to connection and ultimately a journey back home. Reverend Pam intends to continue the Soul Matters program next fall. Why not give it a try? Registrations will begin in August. That's the end of the commercial. In the meantime, let's experience together an adaptation of one of the spiritual exercises from this month's Soul Matter packet that gets at the question of what it means to be a people of beauty. A guided meditation on the beautiful thing that you carry. So get comfortable in the pews, get grounded. You might want to close your eyes or find a visual focus. Notice the places in your body where you are holding tension and try to release it a little bit. Roll your shoulders and your neck. Pay attention to your breathing. The philosopher Blaise Pascal wrote, "In difficult times, carry something beautiful in your heart." These are indeed difficult times. They require courage, commitment, hope, and self-love. And all of these are sustained by beauty. We find the courage to fight after falling in love with a beautiful vision to fight for. We maintain our commitment only by finding the beauty that nourishes us. We hold on to hope because experiences of beauty remind us that something in the universe is on our side. We withstand dehumanization when rooted deeply in the beauty of our own dignity. It's one of the most important secrets to successful social change and survival. When we carry beauty, it carries us. I encourage you now to get clear about the beautiful thing that you need to carry or are carrying, whether it be in your heart or head or literally in your pocket. What is the source of beauty that sustains you?